Hello and welcome back. I hope you have seen the first three videos of Act 2 Scene 1 of Julius Caesar. We are now on explanation video number 4. The whole idea behind doing shorter videos is that it doesn't kind of, overwhelm you in any way. छोटे वीडियोस होंगे तो लगता है कि ओके 15 मिनट का वीडियो है 20 मिनट का वीडियो है मैं जल्दी से खत्म कर सकता हूं या कर सकती हूं. So what happens now? We've already seen the discussion between Brutus and Cassius in the presence of others about what they will do to Caesar and what they will do vis-a-vis Mark Antony, right? Now, after that, the clock strikes. Brutus says, peace, count the clock. Let's count the number of times the clock is ringing so that we know what the time is. Count the chimes of the clock. Cassius says, the clock had stricken 3. It has struck 3 times. Trebonius says, it's time to leave. Trebonius is yet another one who supported Brutus's theory as far as Mark Antony was concerned. He says it's time to leave. Cassius says, but it is doubtful yet whether Caesar will come forth today or no, for he is superstitious. And we've already seen that in Act 1, Scene 2, about the manner in which he told Calpurnia that she should get in touch with Mark Antony, or Mark Antony should touch Calpurnia, because he saw that as a way to make Calpurnia pregnant, right? So he is superstitious. We have seen that. So Cassius is saying that it is doubtful whether Caesar will leave his home today. He has become superstitious of late, quite different from the strong, from the main. From the main, it means that it is quite different from the strong opinions he once held on fantasies, on dreams, on all kind of ceremonies. So earlier he had a very strong and a slightly adverse opinion when it came to superstitions of these kind. Anything which is fanciful, anything which cannot be explained by science, anything which cannot be believed easily, right? So that was the character of Julius Caesar before, but now Cassius thinks that he has changed from that kind of position. So he says that it is possible. He says it may be these apparent prodigies, the unaccustomed terror of this night, and the persuasion of his augurs may hold him from the Capitol today. So he's saying that it is possible that these very strange omens, whatever has happened in the night, whatever we heard Casca describing in great detail, it's quite possible. Apparent prodigies means strange kind of happening, strange omens. The unusual terror of the night, the unaccustomed is something, the unusual terror, when the night is seeming extremely frightful, right? It is looking extremely scary. And the advice of his fortune tellers. Augurus means the fortune tellers, people who would advise Julius Caesar on how he should exactly behave. So these are the fortune tellers. This is the unusual terror of this night, and by the persuasion, that is, they would convince him to act or do something specific. So he says the advice of his fortune tellers will stop him from coming to the Capitol today, in which case it may be difficult to assassinate him. He is interested in Julius Caesar's presence only so that he can be killed, right? So that's what Cassius says. Decius Brutus, another third-rate fellow, he says, never fear that. अरे उसमें डरने की बात नहीं है, मैं हूं ना. So he says, I'll take care. If he be so resolved, I can oversway him. I can persuade him to come to the Capitol, even if all this happens. Even if these fortune tellers convince him to the contrary, I will convince him to come to, I will persuade him otherwise. He says he loves to hear that unicorns may be betrayed with trees, and bears with glasses, elephants with holes, lions with toils, and men with flatterers. But when I tell him he hates flatterers, he says he does, being then most flattered, let me work. Now what do these lines mean? He says that he loves to hear, just like unicorns. Now unicorn is an animal that looks like a white horse but with a horn, like a rhino, like a rhinoceros has a horn. You know what a rhinoceros looks like, right? So have you seen a rhinoceros? Have you? दिखाता हूं, एक मिनट रुको. This is what a rhinoceros looks like. So the rhino has a horn. This is the Assam rhino. So the rhino has a horn, right? So a unicorn also looks like a white horse, but it has a horn on top. Okay, so growing out of its forehead. So he says that he loves to hear how like unicorns can be captured by running their horns into trees. That if you make the unicorns run in such a manner that their horns go and smash into trees, then the unicorns can be captured. Okay, Caesar loves to hear about that. He loves to hear about how the bears, that is Balu, can be, the glasses means mirrors. That is, they can be captured by making the bears crash into mirrors, in which they will see other bears and they will go and hit it, and therefore they can be captured. The elephants with pits, yani ki make a hole in which the elephant will fall and they can be captured. Or lions with nets. Okay, toils means nets. And men with flatterers, and men can be captured, can be overpowered by flattery. Unko jhoti तारीफ sunao, and that can be a way to trap the men. Okay, so men can also be tricked by flattery. And look at the irony of this, because Cassius did the same thing with Brutus to an extent, by saying things which Brutus will like to hear, right? So he says, when I tell him, thereafter when I tell Caesar that, when I tell him that he hates flatterers, he agrees even that at that particular instant, even though at that particular instant, I am actually flattering him the most. He says, I hate flatterers, but actually I am flattering him the most at that particular instant. So let me work on him. Let me work on Caesar, for I can give his humor the true bent and I will bring him to the capital. So capital लाने की guarantee मेरी. I will ensure that I bring him to the capital, that I can influence his mood, that is humor. I can influence his mood. Humor means mood. Humor the true bent. I can influence his mood and I can bring him to the capital. So Cassius says, no, we will all go to bring him. हम सब जाएंगे. Brutus says, by the 8th hour, is that the uttermost? So he says, by 8 o'clock, is that the latest when we can do it? Cinna says, be that the uttermost and fail not then. So let's keep it at that time and let's not arrive late than that. Let's keep to that particular time. Now, Metellus Cimber says, Ligarius doth bear Caesar hard, who rated him for speaking well of Pompey. I wonder none of you have thought of him. That why haven't we thought of Ligarius? Because he also does not like Caesar. Because at one point of time, Caesar had scolded, rated means scolded, who scolded Ligarius for speaking well of Pompey. So Ligarius had once spoken well of Pompey, who we know was a rival of Caesar, and therefore Caesar had scolded him, and that kind of grudge Ligarius bears against Caesar. So I wonder why haven't you guys thought of him? कि तुम लोगों ने ये नहीं सोचा कि we can include him as well in our plot, in our gang. So Brutus says, good Metellus, go along by him, he loves me well, and I've given him reasons, send him but hither, and I will fashion him, that he thinks well of me. Okay, and I've given him good reason, you know, मैंने उसके लिए ऐसा काम किया है, that he will feel good about me. So send him here and I will persuade him. Fashion him means I will persuade him. Cassius says, the morning comes upon us, we will leave you, Brutus and friends, disperse yourselves, but all remember what you have said and show yourselves true Romans. So he says that the morning is approaching, it's about to be morning, sunrise, we will leave you, Brutus and friends, let's go our separate ways. Disperse yourselves means let's go our separate ways. Let's not go together as a group, but all remember what you have said and show yourselves to be true Romans. So Cassius, all the time, they say no, patriotism. You know, he's trying to kind of make them swear by patriotism that what you're doing is for the sake of Rome, right? So he's trying to keep putting that into their head, to kind of keep brainwashing them that what you're doing is for the sake of Rome. So show yourselves to be true Romans, right? So that remember what you have said, and this is what you need to do later in the day. Good gentlemen, look fresh and merrily, but let not our looks put on our purposes, but bear it as our Roman actors do. Brutus says that, good gentlemen, look like you are fresh and happy, Let our faces not betray our plans, in the sense that if you are thinking about it, you will look a little worried. You will look anxious about what you are supposed to do later, right? So let that purpose not show. The plan means purposes. Purposes means plans. Let that not show on our faces. Let us all look very happy and fresh. Carry yourselves like Roman actors do in theater. Like, how do they act on stage? With cheerful spirits. Untired means, with untired spirits means with cheerful and happy spirits. And formal constancy. Formal constancy means calm faces, that they look extremely shant, very calm faces. And so good morning to each one of you, and good morning to each one of you, and everyone except Brutus. Now Brutus then he calls for his servant Lucius. He says, fast asleep, it's no matter. Enjoy the honey heavy dew of slumber. Oh, Lucius, are you fast asleep? No problem. No matter means no problem. Enjoy the sweetness of deep sleep. You do not suffer from the strange shapes of fantasies that come to men. No figures, nor no fantasies which busy care draws in the brains of men. You are not suffering from any of that. That you suffer from the strange fantasies, the strange kind of dreams that come to men who are overwhelmed with worries, who are looking very worried, and therefore that's why you are sleeping so soundly, because you have nothing to worry. Unlike Brutus, who would be worried, which is why he was awake. So you don't, unlike all the other men who are anxious about what they need to do, so they're all not asleep at that point in time, at that unearthly hour, right? So, but you don't have any such worries, which is why you're sleeping soundly. So with that, we end explanation video number 4. I hope यहां तक आपको पूरी तरह से समझ में आ गया होगा, मैं उम्मीद करता हूं. I'll now see you in explanation video number 5, which is going to be important because there we get to meet Portia in conversation with Brutus. Portia is the wife of Brutus. Okay, so I see you now in explanation video number 5. Bye bye.